Okay, we've got Justin Dunk now. CHCH TV Studios is where he's at from 3downnation.com. Hey, it's looking like $1 million. How you doing, Justin?
I'm doing well, guys. Bunkered down in here. I just had to get the lights turned on, Roddy, so you could actually see my face.
Well, I love it. It looks really good. And so why did we all get built up that today was going to be a huge day in the CFL when it turns out that I guess it's not? Where do you stand on today's news in the Canadian Football League, the last day of July?
Well, Roddy, I think the takeaway from this is that anything the CFL states as a deadline should not be set in stone. I think it needs to be put down with a pencil with a massive eraser on it. Because to be quite honest, it's been quiet most of the week. I've been working the phones and honestly just sort of shooting the breeze with a lot of people because there hasn't been many discussions going down, especially between the CFL and the CFLPA. For example, there hasn't been substantial talks on the pressing issues for 7 days now. It was last Friday when everyone thought the deadline was going to be, and the league canceled a meeting with the PA that day, and since then, it's pretty much been at a standstill.
Okay, so I don't know where to go from here. Greg Ellingson was watching earlier this hour. He said he now has heard that mid-August is the next deadline, and I don't think any of us are going to say that it's a hard deadline, but your thoughts on that? My initial take is if you've waited this long, you might as well wait till mid-August. Your thoughts on that news? Or literally where we go from here if today's deadline doesn't mean anything?
Greg's stealing my scoops here, man, Roddy. I work hard for you to try to get some fresh news, and what he's hearing is correct. Now, I don't want to attach anything to it or necessarily put a name on it because we've seen these deadlines have come and gone in the CFL. But in doing my research, especially to come on your show and obviously for the reporting that I do, I have heard that mid-August deadline. And it would time up in terms of that potential date of September 14th traveling to Winnipeg if you sort of work back on some of the logistics. So that means the league feels like the latest they could cook off a season would be in October, although there's still a long way to go there. And if indeed, and the news just came out today, and I felt like this was going to happen, that the federal government wasn't going to just simply give them money, for lack of a better term, that there were going to be strings attached to it in the form of some sort of a loan, which you had to repay at a percentage, that the league has actually been talking about with its owners. All right, we don't expect to necessarily get a big lump sum of money from the government that we just get and then we don't have to pay back. So would we actually consider going forward as a CFL ownership, board of governors, everyone in the Brain Trust with the funds that the owners have, obviously with the 6 privately owned teams having deep pockets?
Are you getting tired of being asked if they're going to play or not?
Yes.
That's
daily, man. And
let him answer.
The people, players, everyone.
No, I know. And the thing is, really. I literally have to tell people, I can't give you an answer because the CFL doesn't know if they're going to play or not. Would that not be an accurate answer, Justin? It's an unanswerable question as we sit here today.
It really is. And if the CFL and no one in it knows, then, we can't tell people. And it's difficult because people, as you know, Roddy, ask us all the time. And I get the questions from players, general managers, coaches, everyone, fans alike, and I can't give them any concrete idea. Whereas in normal football season, I can give you an idea, okay, what's going on behind the scenes, who might be signing here and breaking those stories. But there's nothing concrete here. So to me, it's just very dangerous as a reporter to put out any timelines here because they've all been knocked down and proven to be false. I can tell you right now that literally what's going on behind the scenes in terms of the financial aspect is that the dollars and cents that they've put together from people I've talked to is that they would lose about $5 million per team if they don't play. I know the Riders came out and said 10, but this was overall for the league. And that if they actually did play, it would be about 10 million as a loss per team. So what they have to decide is essentially, is that $45 million number as a group, all 9 franchises in the CFL, worth the investment to play in 2020? Me personally, I'm not a businessman, but I would say no, because you're not going to be able to get any sort of return on the investment. No tickets, obviously, with no fans in the stands, and the advertising revenue for companies around the world, let alone Canada, are definitely down because they're just trying to stay alive through the pandemic.
You just nailed it, and I'm sorry, Lynch, but you nailed it in that $5 million per team cost if they don't play, $10 million per team cost if they do. And a text that I got this morning was, if they play, the league will fold. And that was from a long-time club employee that I trust very well, Justin. So I'll let the viewers mull that over in their head. It'll cost them more to play than not. And if they do, it'll probably fold the league. All right, over to you, Frenzy.
John Lynch here, Justin. What about the fans now? You talk to a lot of people out there. Do you think they really want this league to succeed? I don't know if I think there's less intense fan support here than there has been in years now. How is it in Eastern Canada? Do you find the fans support still there, or people almost given up?
It depends where you go, and I'm obviously in Hamilton a lot with my duties here at CHGH in this beautiful studio, and the people around the city are just craving any sort of CFL news, and they want to see their Ticats play. They don't care if it's Winnipeg, out in Vancouver, anywhere else in Canada, or on the freaking moon. They just want to see some football played. So the thirst is really there in Hamilton. Obviously, you go down the road to Toronto, and it's a little different, but I think a place like Ottawa, too, is definitely underrated. They have a younger crowd there that come out to their games. So I would say the province that I'm in overall has an interest in CFL football. It might not be in Toronto, in the major city, obviously the biggest one in Canada, but the other two, Lynch, they really have a craving for it.
Well, you know what? And by the way, you know yourself, Justin, because we've talked about the numbers to 3 down. You got a huge appetite for CFL football in Toronto. People just don't want to admit it. And secondly, fall of 2017, we spent 27 days in October in Ottawa. If you remember, the Riders played in Ottawa, Toronto regular season back-to-back, then came back for the playoffs. We were there for a long time. And I would submit Ottawa is the only city in Canada with an NHL and CFL franchise where the CFL team is at least as popular as the NHL team. Maybe more so. That's my thought on it. And by the way, the commissioner's just getting ripped neck to navel. And your guy, John Hodge, has a column on it. I haven't read it yet. I saw the headline today on Randy Ambrosie's video for the Finland Football League, which kicked off yesterday. Viewer Nelson says, does this spell the end for Randy, where the CFL is at? Is the criticism unfair or not? And I don't mean overall. I mean the latest round, the Finland video and all the rest.
The criticism for the Finland video is certainly warranted overall. I think that's an entirely different conversation. But if you're the league and commissioner, you have to understand that timing is everything. And when you put a video out that is supporting a football league that you have a partnership with, but when you're not taking care of the home front first and foremost, that is going to go over just terribly with everyone, your fans, coaches, scouts, and I would argue most importantly, the players. He's literally wishing players well in the Finnish football league, but he hasn't talked to the players in the CFL in over a week. So I just can't for the life of me understand why. I get that he wants to seem like he's a nice guy and being a solid partner for that league out there. But you got to understand that people are going to see this and the way they're going to take it, especially when it's been silent in terms of even behind the scenes.
Well, and there's the rant of the day. Rod's rant for Bronco Plumbing and Heating. There you go.
You get this hat.
You get that. Well, that's a different thing. Rockstar of the day, Dunk will probably get that too. But DuPont said it in the roll-up. If you can do a video for the Finland League, you can do a video for your own players to be sent, through the Players Association, I guess. Is that a valid comment, do you think?
It certainly is, and that's the way players around the league feel. As I said, scouts and general managers and coaches were literally sending me the video this morning saying, what the bleep is this? The fact that they go to that trouble to make it, and it doesn't matter when they made it. It matters when they dropped it, because that's the perception. And as I said, timing is everything. And I'll get on the soapbox for Roddy's rant a little bit here more, is that when you have people that care about the league, live and breathe it, that I talk to on a daily basis and have put their lives and souls into the CFL and want to see it go, and then you drop a video about a Finnish football league, and yes, the Global 2.0 initiative is entirely different conversation in itself, but you got to take care of the people that have your league running in Canada. And universally, I hate to say it, they don't feel like Ambrosie is doing it. Now, he's not the only guy that I think should have the criticism directed at him, but because he's the commissioner, just like a quarterback of the football team, he's going to hear it.
From a viewer, Colin in Ottawa says, it's true about what you said about Ottawa, Rod. The ownership of the Red Blacks are so much better than the Sens, and it has definitely hurt the NHL team. Last one for you, Frenzy, for Justin, before we let him go.
Well, Justin, how do you see the future? Is there a chance that you and I will be talking about the Riders Hamilton game in a couple of weeks?
I just don't see it, Frenzy. There's so many things to go through from a health and safety standpoint too. I think everyone's looked at the financial aspect of the ask to the Canadian government, but we got to remember that the Canadian government denied the Toronto Blue Jays playing in Toronto. Look what's going on in the MLB right now. So that turned out to be a smart decision. And even though the CFL is thinking about playing in a bubble scenario that some people might say is similar to the NHL, well, in the NHL, they're literally testing every single day. They're doing it privately. The CFL has not stated they're going to do that, and that would just drive the cost up, and up even more. So I hate saying it, but as the days pass here and you hear about the financial toll that this could take overall in the league, to me, it's just much better. Make a decision that you're not going to play in 2020 and focus on 2021. Reshape the league, Roddy. I believe that you've said this on your show a number of times. Get in, dig in your heels, plan for the future to make sure that this league is with us for the long haul. I don't think fans would be angry at that, Frenzy. If there's not Riders games in 2020, but if there's Riders games for the next 100 years, that would be a more than fair trade-off.
What are you laughing at, Lynch?
What he said, 100 years.
Well, you won't be around for it, but there probably will be. And there will always be Canadian pro football. That's what I think people have to understand. When we say the CFL might fold, Justin, they think that that's the end of Canadian pro football forever. There will always be Canadian pro football. That's what you're saying, right? But the way it looks right now, probably not. I appreciate the time, sir. I'll be reading your site all weekend. Thank you. I appreciate you, Justin. Thanks, and stay safe out there.
You bet, Roddy. You too. Everyone out there, stay safe and enjoy the long weekend.
All right. Justin Dunk joining us from CHCH Hamilton. He of 3downnation.com, which is my trusted source for CFL news.
You're watching Rod Peterson On Demand. For more of The Rod Peterson Show, visit rodpeterson.com or follow Rod Peterson on social media.